Yesterday we stopped after reading the stop passage of right concentration, the usual textual definition. Starts from the first jhana. A monk enters and dwells in the first jhana until he enters and dwells in the fourth jhana. This monks is right concentration, taken from Digha Nikaya 22. Yeah, but this is not the only occurrence of this. Yeah, you can find this everywhere, this stop passage of the jhana. Today we are going to take a look at what the elaboration of the jhana. I'm going to read on to find out. The jhanas are distinguished by way of their component factors. The first jhana is constituted by the original set of 5 absorption factors: initial application, sustained application, rapture, happiness, one-pointedness. After attaining the first jhana, the meditator is advised to master it. On the one hand, he should not fall into complacency over his achievement and neglect sustained practice. On the other, he should not become overconfident and rush ahead to attain the next jhana. To master the jhana, he should enter it repeatedly and perfect his skill in it until he can attain, remain in it, emerge from it, and review it without any trouble or difficulty. Then we can only say that this one has mastered the first jhana. If you attain it once and you are unable to replicate it in the future, then you should practice again and try to review on how to replicate the same results. Yeah, sustained practice, I think here is the important keyword. It's not like under the first time you enter the first jhana, oh, I'm so good, then you just stop there. This is not the recommendation. Yeah. On the other balance of on the other side, yeah, once you attain the first jhana, oh, okay, maybe I can attain next jhana today, the second jhana. So the text does not advise this as well. Yeah, try to maintain, attain, remain, master it, and perfect it. When you can review it without any trouble or difficulty, then we can move on to the next one. Okay, next paragraph. Sister Billy, would you like to read?
Thank you. After mastering the first jhana, the meditator then considers that his attainment has certain defects. Though the jhana is certainly far superior to ordinary sense consciousness, more peaceful and blissful, it still stands close to sense consciousness and is not far removed from the hindrances. Moreover, 2 of its factors, initial application and sustained application, appear in time to be rather coarse, not as refined as the other factors. Then the meditator renews his practice of concentration, intent, on overcoming initial and sustained application. When his faculties mature, these 2 factors subside and he enters the second jhana. This jhana contains only 3 component factors: rapture, happiness, and one-pointedness. It also contains a multiplicity of other constituents, the most prominent of which is confidence of mind. Thank you.
Thanks, Sister Billy. After mastering the first jhana, there is, we should consider that the attainment has certain defects. What are the defects? Even though jhana is, of course, far superior to our ordinary sense consciousness, much more peaceful, much more blissful, it's still somewhere around the neighborhood of sense consciousness and is not far removed from the hindrances. Furthermore, two of its factors, initial application and sustained application, appear in time to be rather coarse. What is coarse? Let's define here.
Coarse.
Yeah, rough or harsh in texture. Not as refined as the other three factors. What are the other three factors? Rapture, happiness, one-pointedness. The meditator renews his practice of concentration, intent on overcoming the first two factors, initial and sustained application. When his faculties mature, these two factors subside and he enters the second jhana. The second jhana contains only three component factors: rapture, happiness, and one-pointedness, but also other constituents. The most prominent, which is confidence of mind. The next paragraph will elaborate more on the second jhana, so let's read on to find out. Sister Billy, would you like to nominate next person to read?
Sister Choi Kwan, please. Thank you.
In the second jhana, the mind becomes more tranquil and more thoroughly unified. But when mastered, even this state seems gross, as it includes rapture, an exhilarating factor that inclines to excitation. So the meditator sets out again on his course of training, this time resolved on overcoming rapture. When rapture fades out, he enters the third jhana. Here there are only two absorption factors, happiness and one-pointedness. While some other auxiliary states come into ascendancy, most notably mindfulness, clear comprehension, and equanimity. But still, the meditator sees this attainment is defective in that it contains the feeling of happiness, which is gross compared to neutral feeling that is neither pleasant nor painful. Thus, he tries to get beyond even the sublime happiness of the third jhana. When he succeeds, he enters the fourth jhana, which is defined by two factors, one-pointedness and neutral feeling, and has a special purity of mind due to the high level of equanimity. Thank you.
Thanks, Sister Choi Kwan. In the second jhana, the mind becomes more tranquil, more thoroughly unified. But when mastered, even this state, even the second jhana, seems gross, as it includes rapture, an exhilarating factor that inclines to excitation. What to do? If you are at this stage, the meditator sets out again on his course of training. This time, we have to overcome rapture. When rapture fades out, he enters the third jhana. What is interesting here, you can see how from the very beginning, the step-by-step process is really clear. Starts from overcoming the 5 hindrances, and then the 5 absorption factors, picks up, and even these 5 association factors, when it's strengthened and when you enter the first jhana, you have to overcome these 5 factors one by one by one. Yeah. In the first jhana, if we want to go to the next jhana, second jhana, we have to overcome the first 2 factors, initial and sustained application. And if we want to move on to the next jhana, we should overcome the next factor, which is rapture. In the third jhana, you, the meditators, only left with 2 absorption factors: happiness, one-pointedness. There are some auxiliary states, like mindfulness, clear comprehension, and equanimity. Even in the third jhana, the meditator sees this attainment is defective. Why? Because it contains the feeling of happiness, which is gross compared to neutral feeling, a feeling that is neither pleasant nor painful. Yeah, this should be not. I think it's a typo. When the meditator reaches this stage, he strives to get beyond even the sublime happiness of the third jhana. When he succeeds, he enters the fourth jhana, which is defined by 2 factors. One-pointedness, the last factor of the 5 absorption factors, and neutral feeling, has a special purity of mindfulness due to the high level of equanimity. Okay, let me take a look at the moment. Let me take a look for a moment. I think this one we can. Okay, 2 paragraphs left. Okay, 2 paragraphs left until we finish. We have a little bit of time, so let's continue reading. Sister Jaikon, would you like to nominate?
Sister Saikyam, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so beyond the 4 jhanas lie the 4 immaterial states, levels of absorption in which the mind transcends even the subtlest perception of visualized images, still sometimes persisting in the jhanas. The immaterial states are attained not by refining mental factors as are the jhanas, but by refining objects. By replacing a relatively gross object with a subtler one. The 4 attainments are named after their respective objects. The base of infinite space, the base of infinite consciousness, the base of nothingness, and the base of neither perception nor non-perception. These states represent levels of concentration so subtle and remote as to elude clear verbal explanation. The last of the 4 stands at the apex of mental concentration. It is the absolute maximum degree of unification possible for consciousness. But even so, these absorptions reached by the path of serenity, meditation, as exalted as they are, still lack the wisdom of insight, and so are not yet sufficient for gaining deliverance. Wow. Already so many infinite, like the whole universe, the space, the infinite consciousness. Then you come to the nothingness and then non-perception. and perception, neither one. So I think it's extremely challenging. Thank you.
Yeah, I had the exact same reaction when I read this. Thanks, Ken, for reading. I had the exact same reaction the first time I read this. I was like, oh, this is very good, very exalted, very the highest apex of concentration. And then, you know, the punchline. Even so, these absorptions, as exalted as they are, still they lack the wisdom or insight, so are not yet sufficient for gaining deliverance. Yeah. I was like, huh, what? And you reach until this stage and then we are not yet enlightened? Wow. Buddhism is difficult. Maybe we should choose the easier religion. Just pray and believe. Actually, this is why Buddhism is interesting. Yeah. Even though it's difficult, we know that there is a very rigorous step-by-step process where we can follow and replicate as long as we practice well and as long as we practice diligently and persistently. Yeah, to me, this is what attracts me to Buddhism. Okay, any of you would like to add anything?
Master, on your comments, right? I think sometimes we tend to say, "Oh, Buddhism is difficult." So when we self-reflect and then it comes to like a state where we say, it's actually not Buddhism is difficult. It's because our past yawns of existence and yawns of defilement that make it difficult. So better start practicing, training ourselves from today. If not, any yawns later, we're still saying the same thing.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yes. Yeah. It's not that Buddhism is difficult, yeah. Sister Billy said. It's that we didn't practice in the past. That's why we can say it's difficult now. But
because during retreat you can always hear the master, the venerable say, it's very easy it's very easy to see the meter. You know, it's very easy, you know, it's so blissful. Then I'm like, oh yeah. I only have myself to blame.
I completely agree. Oh, so the moral lesson here, Sister Billy, it says, start practicing now. You know, the tagline of investment, when is the best time to start investing? 20 years ago. When is the best time to when is the second best time to start investing? Yesterday. Yeah, same with practicing Buddhism. When is the best time to start practicing? 20 years ago, of course. When is the second best time? Yesterday. In our context, we should start right now. Today, don't wait. Don't wait until all sorts of problems come out. The one we read before. Don't wait until there's a famine. Don't wait until there's a natural disaster. If you see the people in Malaysia flood, the people in Philippines, can they practice? They can if they really want, but I think it's much more difficult than our conditions right now. I think tomorrow we will read the last paragraph and then we can also do some review of this chapter. Any of you would like to add anything before we wrap up for today? If not, let's do a dedication. 愿消三障就犯了，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have an infinite day ahead. Thanks everyone for participating. It's always good to see you guys. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.